Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and Pokemon TCG Pocket has a ton of cards in the game, and obviously the Pokemon TCG, the physical cards and Pokemon TCG Pocket are separate. Some people like this, some people don't. It's what makes Pocket, unique from the regular TCG, but a lot of these cards are cards that could be in the regular TCG as well. Like, say, this Torterra, if you put this in there, it wouldn't be particularly good, but it could be there, and it could be a card that you could play. However, there are some cards that you cannot play from Pokemon TCG Pocket in the regular Pokemon TCG. Today I have more than five. I think the title and thumbnail probably say five, but I have five different types of cards and a few examples of them, and some are really unique and really interesting. Some are more normal, and so we'll take a look. But the first card here we have is Porygon. This card is a card that obviously could not work in the regular TCG at all because it interacts with the Energy Zone. Also, this is a card I've never seen played. I don't even know how it works in Pocket. I've also not played with it. It's pretty bad because what it says is it's 80 for 3 on a stage 2, and then it says you change the type of the next energy that will be generated for your opponent to one of the following at random. This is within their energy zone. The energy zone is, where you can get your energy from. You get one every turn, and then also if you get other energies that kind of like appear there, I guess they're like from the energy zone, but they're not really from the energy zone. Like with Gardevoir, it gets energy from the energy zone, but it doesn't take the one out that's there. It just kind of appears from nowhere. Anyways, you can get energy from the zone, and then it's of certain types. It's generally, most decks I think play one type of energy. I can't really think of many that play two dragon types. If you want to attack with them, you obviously need two types because they have two types of energy in their attack cost, but most decks want to stick with one for consistency reasons. However, this changes it to something random, most likely something that they can't use to pay whatever type they need to. However, it also means that this still can fulfill the colorless energy cost. Um, and so I think this is really, really fun. I don't know if it's, as I said, like really good at all, and I don't know if there's a way to make this fun in terms of actual gameplay, because if it's too good, then it's very disruptive and control based. If you're a Pokemon TCG Pocket player and you don't play the regular TCG at all, or if you're a pretty casual Pokemon TCG player, then you're probably not really familiar with control at all. Control is or disruption, they're used somewhat interchangeably, but it's the idea of making it so your opponent can't do certain things. There certainly are cards like this in Pocket. There are cards like Red Card and Mars, and then there are also cards like there's a bunch that are like weird and mediocre. There's a Persian, there's a which discards a random card from the game, which I was going to include in the video, but you can actually do them in the regular TCG. I don't remember exactly how that works. I have not done that in a while, but there are cards like that. They can discard energies. They can discard your Pokemon, or like shuffle it or return to your hand or something like that. There are different types of disruption that will hurt you, but they usually don't destroy you. There are also cards that stop evolution and supporters, and that can be pretty detrimental, but often isn't that detrimental, because Pokemon has decided to make them not super strong. And same thing with Porygon. I guess I've been doing in a bit to card design, and this card isn't like it's really unique. This is probably the most unique card in Pokemon TCG Pocket. It's one I think it is the most, and it's really cool. I'd love to see more cards interacting with the Energy Zone in ways that obviously you can never interact with the regular TCG. You could never have a card like this really at all, and it's really, really fun. The next card, we actually have two here. Gyarados EX and Yanmega EX. I think there were some others like this as well. They both discard random energies. This one is from among the energy attached to all Pokemon on Gyarados EX, both yours and your opponents. And then Yanmega EX is discard a random energy from this Pokemon. I bet some of you have played these cards or with or against these cards and didn't really know that it was random energies, because it doesn't really matter, especially for Yanmega EX. Yanmega EX is 3 colorless energy. So theoretically, you could discard, like, you could have different types attached, and it could discard a random one, and maybe of a type you didn't want. This doesn't really matter because obviously Yanmega EX is only colorless energy, so you don't really need different types of energies ever. But maybe for like Dawn, that could matter, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but regardless, this is unique and it is more meaningful on Gyarados EX. Being able to discard either energy from itself, or your other Pokemon, or your opponent's Pokemon, which can make a difference within the game. How often does it matter? I'd say pretty rarely. I mean, if you have 4 energy in a Gyarados and you discard one, you can just attach another one to attack next turn. If you're in the mirror, it can definitely matter a bit more. And then if you're playing, if your opponent's trying to like set up Pokemon on their bench, it could matter again, but it's not super meaningful. However, it is definitely something that is unique with this form of randomization. We'll see another card. I mean, a lot of these things are randomization. I don't think they all are. It's pretty close to all of them being a randomization because in the regular TCG, there's only so much randomization you can do. You can, of course, randomize the deck that happens, and you have to more or less randomize the deck. You can't really control the deck, and then you like discarding random energy would be really awkward. You could like assign each energy a die or like a number on a die and then like roll the die and do it that way. That seems clunky and annoying. Pokemon TCG Pocket just does it really quickly, or just does it. Sometimes I miss it, to be honest. Not really that commonly. I don't see Gyarados EX that much anymore, anyways. But yeah, it's definitely I think a really cool feature that is something that is unique to Pocket, not as big, anywhere near as big as the Porygon Z thing in terms of being unique. Certainly bigger, as in like being better. But yeah, definitely cool here. And I could see this in a more control style card, where it just discards a random energy from any of your opponent's Pokemon. I'm not super familiar with the random energy discard cards because they're not super good, but they are cool. I think believe Mawile does that. On a coin flip, yeah, discards a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. But again, they're probably all the same type, so it probably doesn't matter on the randomness element there. Then we have a bunch of cards. This is the most common type of card here. We have or type of um, unique, I'll say, mechanic. We have Team Galactic Front, which is put a random Glameow, Stunky, or Krogunk from your hand into your deck. I have so many of this card. I have no idea how I've gotten so many of it. It's really bad. Glameow, Stunky, and Krogunk are all not very good. And so Pokeball is probably better than this card. If there were either both supporters or both items, but then Pokeball is an item, not a supporter, so it's like way better. I mean, Pokeball is like the best card in the game. Probably the second best card in the game, but this is quite bad. If any of you have actually played this and found it good, tell me down below. I'd be interested in that. I think it's quite bad. It very slightly increases your consistency, because it's only your basic. It's not the stage one, which the hell evolves. So it's not super strong, but it is a weird card. And then we have Caterpie, which says put a random grass Pokemon from your deck into your hand. We have, I was looking through this as a Combi, which is a random basic from your deck onto your bench. I've not played with this or seen it playing against it, but it is an interesting looking card. Coughing, which is so weird. I'll say Pokeball first. It's like the same as Combi, which is a random basic from your deck into your hand, which we'll actually talk about in just a moment as well. And then Coughing as well. Put one random Coughing from your deck onto your bench. This Coughing is super bizarre because you can only have two of any card in your deck, and so two Coughings, and obviously this Coughing is already in play, so it seems like there isn't actually a random Coughing there. There's one or none. There's zero Coughings or one Coughing, and you know what that Coughing is, and it's not random. So I don't really know why it says random, but anyways, also this card's like not super good. And definitely probably the worst of the two Coughings. And then there's also Mythical Slab, which is it's different. It actually interacts with some things. I guess this is two different mechanics, but Pokeball covers both of them. Pokeball gets a random card from your deck. You can't really get a random card in the regular TCG. You can kind of do it. You could like flip cards from the top of your deck. In order to make it truly random, you'd actually need to shuffle your deck first, then flip and reveal cards from the top of your deck. But in doing so, you're revealing your entire deck to your opponent. Not your entire deck, but parts of your deck. Certainly parts of your deck that you aren't getting into your hand. You're getting one card and you're probably showing like 5 or 10. But Pokeball is cool because it allows you to get it without showing it to your opponent. It is a card that you cannot choose to fail if you don't want to. Or if you want to fail it, you cannot choose to do so. It can fail. If you have no basic Pokemon, you can play it, and then it'll say no cards in deck, and I believe it does shuffle. I don't remember that, but I think it does. But generally, you have to get the Pokemon. Is it really likely ever that you wouldn't want it? I can't think of any situations, to be honest. But anyways, and it works differently than something like Nest Ball or Quick Ball, which get basic Pokemon, where you have to reveal it and if you actually don't know why you have to reveal on Quick Ball, Pokegear, lots of cards. Most cards you have to reveal in the regular TCG, but you don't have to reveal with something like Force Seal Stone or Pidgeot EX. That's because it's the accountability issue of, you want people to make sure they're following the rules. And, if you're playing against your opponent, you want them to follow the rules. But if your opponent says, oh, trust me, this card is a Pokemon and you don't see it, they could be lying, obviously, in casual play. Hopefully it's not happening, or competitive play, but it could, right? And it could even happen by accident as well. And you want to stop these things from happening. However, in, and so that's why you don't need to reveal if it is a random card or if it's any type of card. Your opponent's getting some card. You can see them doing that. Versus with a Pokemon, they need to reveal so you know it's a Pokemon or the right type of thing. Pokeball, though, you don't reveal because the game does it for you. So this is a really cool option of an online game. This also happens at the beginning of the game with the Mulligan system. Or the lack of there isn't really a mulligan system. It kind of does it automatically behind the scenes, which is really nice, saves you time and changes the gameplay a little bit as well. And then Mythical Slab is a similar concept with the idea of the fact that you don't show your opponent what this card is. And Mythical Slab is really interesting because you look at the top of your deck, and if that card is a psychic Pokemon, you put it into your hand. If it's not a psychic, you put it on the bottom of your deck. Obviously, this isn't like the random thing anymore, really, but it is the idea of the accountability idea here, where your opponent doesn't know if you see a psychic Pokemon or not. So if it was the regular TCG, you'd have to show them, and then you'd have to put it into your hand or put it on the bottom of your deck. Because there are times you see Professor's Research and you're like, oh, that's going on the bottom. I don't want that because that can help me get my Gardevoirs. But Mythical Slab, this is all for you. You get to see, your opponent does not, and so you get the accountability is upheld. And on top of that, you also get a card that has secret information that that your opponent doesn't. And also, Mythical Slab is the reason that if you're playing with these cards, you need to randomize the deck before. I don't know if Mythical Slab's the only reason, but it's the only one I can think of off the top of my head where you need to, if you're physically playing with these, you need to shuffle first because Mythical Slab, there's also Pokegear or Porygon where you'd know some of the cards, but you need to shuffle first because then the deck right now isn't like random or like kind of is random, but now you know that there's a certain card on your bottom of your deck, and that could be a basic Pokemon that's not a psychic Pokemon. And if you then just reveal cards from the top of your deck, you never hit it, assuming you have another Pokemon in your deck. So you need to shuffle first for using Pokeball or something like that. Very niche interaction and probably does not matter. However, it is a thing that if you're playing with these cards, actually, you need to do that. But that doesn't really matter. But it's just something I'd mention. Then we have a few more cards here. We have two more concepts. These are a bit smaller than that whole randomization accountability thing, which is a really big thing that Pocket can do. This is a little bit smaller. This is yet again relating to the energy zone. And this is more so a specific gameplay thing. I have Magneton and Brock here as two cards that could do this. Misty could. I think doing this with Misty is like probably not a good idea. But you have energy in your energy zone. And the energy zone is kind of like energy in your deck. However, these get energy from the energy zone, but it's not like the regular energy zone really, because it's not your energy for the turn. It kind of just appears and then goes from the energy zone to this Pokemon. But you can accelerate energy from there to this Pokemon. And same thing with Brock. This goes specifically to Onyx or Golem. And this could happen. You could do this with specifically the Golem from Genetic Apex, which only uses one fighting. You can be playing a deck which is, not fighting, not lightning, and still power up these Pokemon. And we see this obviously with Magnezone. If you've been playing Pocket, I'm sure you've seen Magnezone and Magneton. It's really good and really popular and really fun in my opinion as well. And you can use these Pokemon and attack with lightning energy cost without playing any lightning energy in your like regular energy zone. Which, by the way, if you don't know, I think hopefully most of you know this by now. But if you don't, you can change the types of energy that get like your deck has an energy zone and energy types that it generates. It defaults to, it can only have, I believe, up to 3. It needs to be between 1 and 3 inclusive, and then you randomly get one generated. If you have a deck like Darkrai EX with Magneton and Druddigon, which is a deck again what I was talking about, and it's cool, but you only want darkness energy, it'll automatically fill it up with three different types of energy out of the four, the fire, water, lightning, darkness, which is really not what you want. That's really bad for you. So you can just go into the deck and you click on your deck, and it's an option for you to change. As I said, I think most of you know about that, but if you don't, that is a pretty big deal and a game changer, definitely. Then Brock is definitely like weaker. I think I saw someone do this in a game where they were not playing any fighting energy and were playing Golem. I don't think it worked for them, but it might have. I don't remember. It's pretty interesting and opens up a really unique thing where you can be playing essentially getting energy that's like not in what's equivalent to your deck. The energy zone is like your deck, but then you get kind of outside cards, which is really cool, and something that could not really be done in the regular Pokemon TCG and anywhere near the same way. Last card here we have is it's Dragonite. Dragonite is so cool, I guess. It's kind of bad. I feel like it's one of the notoriously really cool and kind of bad Pokemon. With Draco Meteor, you have Water, Lightning, Colorless. Colorless, you choose one of your opponent's Pokemon randomly 4 times, and for each time a Pokemon is chosen, you do 50 to it. It can be the same Pokemon 4 times, or different, or whatever. And it can do extra damage, so if your opponent has two Pokemon with 50 HP. You need to knock them out, both of them out to win. You can do 200 to the one and none to the other, and just lose. So it's weird. It's random. This is a card again, kind of hard to figure out how you do actually. You probably assign numbers to each Pokemon and then roll a die, and that's actually easier because the energy thing, normal dies are. So I was thinking through the math. A normal die is 6 sides. There are also die that are from 20 is the thing. Four aren't. I feel like they're not that common. 8, 10. I feel like 10's the least common of all those. 12 as well. So you have three, 1, 2, 3, or 4 Pokemon. Obviously one, it doesn't matter. But then 2, 3, or 4, you could use a die there. I assume you just have a 6-sided die, which you presumably have with playing Pokemon, either for the coin flip or for damage counters, or people just have them. Then you can obviously, if it's 2 Pokemon, you just roll the die. Say 1 through 3 is one, 4 through 6 is another. I believe this is the simplest way. You could use like a random number generator on your phone as well. But assuming you're not doing that, then you could do coin flips could never get you like a random number. 1 through 3, so a die could though. And then for that you do 1, 2 as the first Pokemon, 3, 4 is the next, and 5, 6 is the third one. I think I'm saying the right numbers. If I like said a number wrong, yeah, hopefully you know what I mean. I guess weird with 4. Obviously 6 doesn't go into 4, but 6 squared does. So you could assign. I'm not going to do the math in my head, but there's 36 combinations. You could assign 9 of them to each number, and I don't know. I can't think of exactly what it would be off the top of my head. I don't want to do the calculations right now, but you could do that. You could, of course, just use an 8-sided die or a 20-sided die as well, which would be easier, or 12 as well, or 4. 4 is easier. So you could do that. None of these are super easy. It's kind of weird. Dragonite's a really fun card, though. Definitely one that I'd it'd be sad if it wasn't in pocket. I feel like Dragonite and Porygon Z are kind of similar in that sense of like these weird stage 2s that are expensive and not super strong. I mean, they're like kind of strong when set up, but they're not cards that are going to be, taking over the meta game presumably because they're so hard to get set up, but they're really fun. Tell me down below if you like Dragonite as well. I feel like I've heard that a lot, and it's really cool. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Tell me if there are any other cards that I missed, especially of ones that are different types. I tried to look through all the cards, but I might have missed some. I hope you enjoyed. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.